Welcome to Radquarters. Today we'll be talking about ultrasound of endometrial polyps. I'm Dr. Dan Koval. This episode is sponsored by Samsung Ultrasound. The fabulous images that you're about to see were obtained on a Samsung RS-85 Prestige ultrasound unit. I'm going to show you a few examples of endometrial polyps, highlighting key teaching points throughout. Let's start with this case. This is a female patient in her mid-30s presenting with a history of abnormal uterine bleeding. We're looking at an endovaginal ultrasound of the uterus in sagittal dimension. And you can see that the endometrial stripe is somewhat thickened. There's an ovoid echogenic focus in the mid-endometrial body. If we look at that a bit more closely in sagittal and transverse, we can see that there's an echogenic ovoid focus measuring about 0.8 centimeters. There's a small hypoechoic halo at the anterior margin of this focus. Let's look at this on real-time imaging. Here on this long axis view, you can see that there's the anterior margin of the endometrial stripe and there's the posterior margin. This thin echogenic line between them represents the two layers opposed against each other. And then within the posterior endometrial layer, that's where we see this ill-defined ovoid echogenic focus with this faint hypoechoic or dark halo at the anterior margin. And this was surgically removed and found to be an endometrial polyp. So these are typically benign hyperplastic overgrowths of endometrial tissue. They can be sessile or pedunculated, meaning flat or on a stalk, and they can cause endometrial thickening, as in this case. They're often asymptomatic, but they may cause abnormal uterine bleeding, or they can be associated with infertility. On ultrasound, these tend to be focal, echogenic, meaning bright, round, or ovoid structures, and we usually see them best in the proliferative phase of the menstrual cycle as opposed to the later secretory phase. And that's because in the proliferative phase, we see this increased contrast between the echogenic polyp and the background hypoechoic or dark functional layer of the endometrium. In the secretory phase, the endometrium becomes diffusely echogenic due to edema and hormonal changes. And at that phase, these bright endometrial polyps can blend in with the background endometrium and can be much harder to detect. So we often see them best in the late proliferative phase. If we want to be more specific, the phase of this patient's cycle is likely at the very end of the late proliferative phase and in the beginning of the early secretory phase because we do have some increased echogenicity encroaching in on that hypoechoic functional layer. Another finding we might see, as in this case, there could be a hypoechoic halo inside the margin of the endometrium adjacent to that polyp. And you can differentiate these polyps from submucosal fibroids because fibroids will usually be hypoechoic or dark and have posterior acoustic shadowing, which we do not have in this case. Another key feature that we see with endometrial polyps is the identification of internal vascular flow. Here we have MV flow, which is a form of microvascular flow imaging that detects slow flow in small caliber vessels. And you can see that there's a branching flow extending into this polyp from a vascular stalk or pedicle. And just another image highlighting that branching. And here we're looking at that on real-time imaging. So the presence of a feeding vessel, as in this case, or a vascular pedicle on color Doppler is 95% specific for endometrial polyp. And so that's a feature we often look for. All right, here's a different patient also in her 30s with a history of abnormal uterine bleeding. And what's different about this case? What phase of the menstrual cycle is this patient's endometrium in? Well, we can see that it's diffusely echogenic, so we've left the late proliferative phase, now we're in the secretory phase. And as I mentioned, this phase is usually difficult to detect endometrial polyps. But in this case, we do have some anechoic fluid within the endometrial cavity outlining this ovoid echogenic 2.0 centimeter polyp. Let's look at this on real-time imaging. There's that echogenic polyp. There's the anterior and the posterior stripe, and there's the fluid outlining this polyp. And do you see any other diagnosis in this patient besides endometrial polyp? Well, notice that the myometrial echotexture is heterogeneous, and then the margins of the endometrial myometrial interface are ill-defined and striated with these echogenic tendrils of endometrium insinuating into the myometrium. We also have these scattered subendometrial or myometrial cysts at this endometrial-myometrial junction, and that's typical for adenomyosis, which can also cause pelvic pain and abnormal bleeding. And if you want to learn more about that, please see my prior lecture on ultrasound of adenomyosis. And with color Doppler, we again see a feeding vessel, a vascular pedicle here, made more conspicuous with the addition of that microvascular flow MV flow imaging. So fluid may surround the endometrial polyp, and that can increase the conspicuity. This fluid was likely related to the patient's history of abnormal bleeding. That correlates well with sonohysterography, which is a specific diagnostic study where saline is instilled into the endometrial cavity. And that's actually the most specific non-invasive imaging test for the diagnosis of endometrial polyps. Now, this patient did not have a sonohysterography. This was just natural fluid that developed around the polyp, but it's the same principle. All right, let's look at the final case. This was a postmenopausal patient, and you can see that's why the endometrial stripe is quite thin. We don't see any thickening there, no evidence of a polyp at this level. Here's the fundus in the uterine body. There is some trace fluid in the endometrial cavity, but it looks simple. However, the patient did have a history of a pedunculated mass at the cervical os on pelvic exam, so that's this region here, which is obscured by shadow. Let's adjust the transducer to get a better look at that site. Do you see any finding? Well, here we have an ovoid echogenic solid appearing focus that does have some small cystic foci that are hypoechoic here, suggestive of an endometrial or endocervical polyp. When we add color flow, we do see a vascular stalk extending into it. And this is the finding that was seen on exam, and when removed was found to be an endometrial polyp. So polyps can sometimes prolapse into the cervix or even the upper vaginal cavity. As we've seen, these are usually solid, but in this case, they can sometimes have some mild cystic changes. For asymptomatic polyps, the treatment is typically polypectomy, which is polyp removal. That's sometimes done with a hysteroscope, which is a thin camera-equipped tube inserted through the cervix to visualize the endometrial cavity and localize the polyp for excision. All right, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you found this educational. Thank you to our sponsor, Samsung Ultrasound. If you like this lecture, a great way to support us is to click the YouTube subscribe button, or you can also subscribe to the video podcast on Apple or Spotify. To see bonus teaching material posted throughout the week, you can follow us on social media. Links are in the show notes, or you can click the YouTube Posts tab. And until next time, radiology is life.